This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Thanks to friends at Unreal, you can restock your wardrobe with Unreal golf apparel this year, just like Common. Register to win up to $1,000.
I look good, too, by the way.
Yeah, register to win up to $1,000 in Unreal golf apparel on our contest page. One lucky winner will restock their closet with amazing golf apparel thanks to Unreal. That's KFAN.com. Keyword contest entered today.
Fast-paced, action-packed, as always, controversial first hour of the Common Man program. Hour number 2 gets underway with 534. 534.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1.
Controversy.
We're gonna win, Twins, we're gonna score.
It's now time to delve deep into Twins territory.
Crack out a home run, shout a hit, hooray!
Hooray!
Cheer for the Minnesota Twins today.
Love cheering for a team 2 games under 500. Why not?
Yeah, Twins pitcher Joe Ryan, he's an all-star, so he spoke to the media yesterday and was asked about trade rumors involving him. Here's the question and response.
Of like trade rumors and being identified, that's a compliment. I would imagine, or has that been you're weird getting used to?
The trade stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun for me. I mean, July is awesome. I think everyone in the clubhouse gets excited just seeing where guys are going to go around the league, and you don't know, and I think that's exciting. And being someone that could get traded, it would be exciting. I mean, I do love Minnesota, and I love where I'm at, so it would be sad, definitely hard to go, but at the end of the day, it's never up to me, and yeah.
Well, you've never gone.
Common, what was your reaction to Joe Ryan's comments?
Did Joe pitch last night? Or that's tonight?
That's tonight. All-Star game's tonight.
Can you tell me the results? Do you have that in here, the home run derby?
The home run derby?
Yeah, are you going to ask that today?
As part of a multiple choice question coming up. But
good. Well, it's interesting. He's honest. I like the honesty. He says it's exciting because, you like to see where people are bouncing around from TNF. I happen to be one of those guys. It's the way it goes. I'd rather stay here. Now, do you read between do you read the tea leaves or read between the lines? And would you read into that? Boy, he'd like to get out of Minnesota and get on a contender. I don't know if I read that into it, but it certainly doesn't sound like. I mean, I don't think he has any no trade clauses in his contract. Maybe he does, but if he does, sure sounds like he might waive him to me. That he would. It is a business. I mean, I can understand, somebody sent me a text. Maybe this is going to be part 2 of this question. Did Buxton say, I have a no trade clause and I want to be a Twin for the rest of my life? I know he said that before. And that's cool too, But, if you're one of the better players in the league, regardless of what position you're playing, I think you'd want to, wouldn't you want to be in the hunt? When you want to be in the hunt for Red October, I would much rather be playing for a chance to, and maybe the Twins can get there yet. They're 2 games under 500. I think the division's probably out of reach with Detroit holding such a large lead, and they just don't seem to show any signs of, I know over their last 10, they're 5-5, but hell, they could probably play 500 the rest of the way and win the division. So, but you could get a wild card spot and maybe make things happen. But I think if you're being realistic, you look at the Twins and then you look at some of the other teams in the league and you go, man, there's a better chance to look at that Boston club. They traded Devers. I think I called him Devers there. That team's on a roll right now. I think they've won 9 or 10 in a row or 8 or 10. There was a feature story in them in the Associated Press. And again, they're a larger city. Boston's a ball town. We know that. And it was a big story about how they're starting to come together, and they even did it. They did a trade. They traded a key player who didn't want to move around enough, and they went out and signed people. Matter of fact, the reason he didn't want to move off of third base, and they signed the kid from Houston and said he's going to be. I think Bregman, is that his name? He's going to be our third baseman. And so they finally just said Devers has to go, and they got some nice pieces for him, I think. And boy, if you're sitting there and you're a really good pitcher, do you want to toil for the Twins and be pitching really basically what could and more than likely will be meaningless games in September? Or would you rather be in the pennant race where, man, this is a big game. Playing the Yankees, we're 2 games back. We need a big start from you. We need you to be like Big Spot Scott. I think that's what I'd rather do. Do you read into that?
Well, yeah. So I posted this soundbite on Twitter, X, and I was surprised by the amount of Twins fans that were like, nothing to see here. This is a nothing burger. He didn't say anything. And I'm like, he literally said, quote, being someone that could be traded, it could be exciting. Now, he followed it up with, but I love it in Minnesota. I think that was just like he realized he made a controversial statement and tried to damage control it a little bit after. I think that's what it, because he said being someone that could be traded, it could be exciting. He said that first.
Indeed.
And so I think, to your point, playing for contender, I think also like he's going to get paid at some point here in the next year or two. And I think he probably realizes better chance of getting paid elsewhere than here. And a better chance to get paid more when you're pitching in contending games and pitching in the playoffs. The new ownership that takes over for the Pohlads are going to spend their big fat stacks of wherever they got their cash on Joe Ryan.
Yeah, no, I think you've nailed it. And you know, we've discussed this. I'm not sure what the ownership group has in mind. They continue to say they want to sell. Matter of fact, I think you sent me a couple of tweets, I think, from not Schefter, who is Major League Baseball guy. Didn't you send me something regarding the Twins and ownership and rumors?
That was a local. Yeah, local. Yeah, Phil Miller.
Yeah, okay, Phil Miller. And but you know, if the Twins are indeed, do they? We talked about this last week. If I'm going to purchase the Twins, maybe I want to just clean house. I want to start with all my own players and this and that. You can't trade everybody, release everybody. But, if you're looking at it, you kind of go, we got some nice pieces here. Like, I'd like to buy that team. And all of a sudden, no, we're trading Buxton. We're trading Joe Ryan, trading Pablo Lopez. You say, well, wait a minute. I don't know if I want to buy that team. You got nothing now. At least you had some building blocks. Now I've got to start from scratch. Could be years before I have a contending team. So I don't know if the Twins, because if they are indeed selling the team, I think it's more attractive when you have a better team. I really do. I don't know if they're going to trade people. Then it is the Pohlads, right? And if they could easily say we can save money by making trades. So I'm not sure what to expect. But yeah, it sounds like Ryan would be more than happy to go if they can find a buyer or a trader.
Question number 2. It's time now to consider the course.
We are 2 days away from the Open at Royal Portrush in Northern Ireland, and the tee times and groupings have been announced.
Can I say this real quick?
Yeah.
My favorite part of every major is the Power Trip Morning Show on Wednesday, picking that.
Oh, 100%.
That's just so much fun.
Common, which of these featured groups would you most like to watch? Robert McIntyre, Bryson DeChambeau, Justin Rose, Jordan Spieth, Ludwig Åberg, Victor Hovland, Rory McIlroy, Justin Thomas, Tommy Fleetwood, Sam Burns, Aldrich Potgieter, Brooks Koepka, Xander Schauffele, J.J. Spahn, John Rahm, or Shane Lowry, Colin Morikawa, and Scottie Scheffler.
Wow. Those are some.
Those are the featured groups.
Go back to the beginning and read 3, okay, and then I'll just dismiss as each one goes by.
McIntyre, DeChambeau, Rose.
Okay.
Spieth, Åberg, Hovland.
I think I would take Spieth, Åberg, Hovland.
McIlroy, Thomas, Fleetwood.
I think I would take that one over the one I just said.
Burns, Potgieter, Koepka.
I'll stick with the one with McIlroy.
Schauffele, Spahn, Rahm.
I like Spahn a lot. He's become my favorite player on the tour, and I love watching Johnny Rahm play. I'll stick with McIlroy, though, and I'll explain later.
And then Lowry, Morikawa, Scheffler.
I love Lowry and Scheffler. I'm not a big Morikawa. I didn't like when Morikawa said, I don't know you anything. I don't know fans or media, nothing. Okay. And it's not, it's not that I'm, some people might be McIlroy'd out. What I like is that's where he grew up, right? He's in Northern Ireland. Lowry won there in 2019, also they're pals, right? He won in Northern Ireland. McIlroy now is starting to round into shape. I mean, he was in the hunt at the Genesis Scottish, right to the, bitter end. And then what's his face? What's his name? 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 Gutter up. Did I tell you what I'm going to do? Deuce and I are going to go to 3M Open. And we're going to follow Gutter up because he's in the field. And when he tees off, instead of going like, you're the man or in the hole, I'm going to go, giddy up, Gutter up. Maybe not.
Huh? Do it right after he hits the ball.
Well, yeah, after you say, giddy up, Gutter up. Then we'll say it just like that. Giddy up, Gutter up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see McIlroy. We talked about this, about what would happen after the emotion, after a decade and a half of trying to get fit for a green jacket. He did. Which would he now just tear the tour up in ensuing weeks, or would he just become maybe a little bit of lackadaisical? I think he became lackadaisical, but he said in early in the week, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was Sunday or yesterday when they had him for the Q&A. He kind of said, I'm rejuvenated. Now I'm okay. I feel like I was deserving of, after all of that emotional baggage, the weight of the world lifted from the golf world. Again, it's Woodbury problems. But now he's ready to play, and he's playing so well right now. I want to see how he attacks. The last time I was at Royal Portrush, he was so jacked. He quadruple bogey the first hole. He hit his tee shot out of bounds, and he almost made the cut. He missed it by a shot, but I think the results will be different on hole number 1 this week, and it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Mall of America's mystery cards are back, and we are bringing them to you all summer long. Come grab yours at KFAN events throughout the summer, and wherever you see our KFAN street team, then make sure to redeem them at Mall of America for fun prizes and big discounts. See full list of events at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
So I got myself a prescription to the Fish Wrap Factory West, East, Tennessee. There's something called The Athletic. I don't know if you're familiar with it. At The Athletic, it's a collection of the best writers in the country, or they claim they are. And they write sports. Is your whole life just sports? And I use that for show prep. Or actually, and I shouldn't admit this working at the All Sports station, but most of the sports stories I just skim. But I stumbled across this in the food and culture section of the Fish Wrap Factory West Side headline. How KFAN's Corey Cove created Minnesota's most addictive word game. Well, password's pretty addictive.
I always love that.
Now, we didn't create it.
No.
But it's had a bit of a longer run than the Initials game. Password game has been going on TV since 1962. That's pretty addictive. The Initials game is being played in more than 60 bars and breweries across the upper Midwest. Broadcaster Marnie Gellner is too much of a professional to show emotion when she's covering the Wolves and the Lynx. It's a different story when she's the competitor. Boy, don't we know it. During a recent edition of the Initials game, a staple on KFAN's Power Trip morning show since 2014, Gellner fell just short of busting her losing streak. That didn't restrain her from celebrating every one of her right answers as if she had just nailed a fadeaway jump shot, leaping out of her studio chair, jabbing a fist into the air, trash-talking her opponents, and initiating finger rolls with eventual winner Paul Meat Sauce Lambert. He actually wins that game?
Huh?
Meat Sauce? The only initials he knows are IQ.
Yeah,
Rosie. And he doesn't have one. Well, he does. His IQ is about 3 points higher than a rock. The thrill of playing the game, invented by show co-host Corey Cove, is no longer limited to radio personalities. It's played worldwide. Blah, 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 blah. None of this is just blah, 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 blah. It goes, Cove, 45. Is he really 45 years old?
Yeah.
Boy, he looks young. Takes good care of himself.
He eats really well. Has a good diet. Gets lots of exercise.
A lot of sunshine.
Yeah, lots of sunshine.
He looks like he's in better shape at 45 than he did at 25. Cole, who started at KFAN as an intern in 2002, came up with an idea 11 years ago when colleague A.J. Mansour was leaving the station. He returned 4 days later. As a parting gift, Cove came up with a bit in which the on-air team would have to figure out other famous people who shared A.J.'s initials, like Angelina Jolie. They were terrible clues. It was like reading a Wikipedia page, said Cove, sitting in a coffee shop booth a few floors below the radio station, dressed in all black in a baseball cap. He's so mysterious. He's Corey Cove, man of mystery, who's made history. Took me about a year or two to realize we should add things and titles and made it more of a puzzle than just trivia. The riddles are what makes it fun. Despite Cole's criticism of the first 100 games, it was an instant smash. As soon as we started doing it, this is co-host Chris Hockey, as soon as we started doing it, that's when our ratings really started to grow. So it's all due to Corey Cove. Should those guys give their ratings bonuses to Corey Cove? I don't think he's going to.
Sounds like it to me.
I don't think he's going to need it. We'll get to that. People who would never listen to KFAN realize that we weren't just talking about sports. KFAN program director Chad Abbott, he's quoted in here, said digital listening gets a bump on Friday mornings when they usually play. He called it the high watermark of the week for the entire station. Really? If that's the high watermark, we're in big trouble.
I'm not sure that's accurate either.
Yeah, I don't think it is either.
I think the high watermark is on Friday.
Yeah, and I think it's at 1:30 to 2:15. It helps that familiar names like Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell, comedian Chris Hardwick. Can you hit who? I've not heard of him.
Who?
And Dave Simonette.
Who?
Simonette, I think.
Simonette from Trampled by a Turtle. You can't get trampled by a turtle unless you walk really slow. They play. The annual celebrity tournament, which kicks off this week, includes Kelsey Cook and Chad Daniels, the state's most popular stand-up comics. Well, that's not true either. That's meat sauce and common.
The most fake news of anything in the story.
Cove writes all the copy for the radio version and board game, and it ain't easy. Each round of 12 questions takes him 2 hours. But it's worth it. Here's the best part. So far, he's grossed $1.5 million.
Oh, my gosh. Above average at that.
So far, he's grossed $1.5 million. And I think $500,000 of that was just given him to by listeners during the Kickstarter campaign. People were just giving him hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars to get a copy of the game. I have a project that I'm going to do, and I'm going to do a Kickstarter campaign. And there you go. I mean, the story just goes on and on and on and on. And Neil Justin does a great job. He's been you would call him a media critic and / reporter, and has been there for a long time. Cope is mulling over other ways to expand, including the development of a kids version. In the meantime, he's probably sweating over questions for the initials QZ. My favorite part is that the radio show and the board game and the bar game all feed each other. Hopefully we'll build an empire based on a stupid radio bit. Well, it already is an empire. Yeah. It's worth $1.5 million.
The empire's been built.
The Empire Strikes Back. I'm going to start calling him Darth Vader. Corey Cove. Didn't Darth Vader breathe like that?
Yeah.
Sort of like that. Kind of
heavy breathing.
Heavy breathing. Google something for me.
Okay.
How much
Just the word something?
No. Wait. Google how much money has the game Monopoly made over the years. Now, that's a game that's Parker Brothers, or was it Milton Bradley? I think it's Parker Brothers. Cove is starting. He might be the third largest board game company in the world. I think Parker Brothers, I think Milton Bradley's number one, followed by Parker Brothers. How much money does it say how much Monopoly is generated?
Now, this is the AI overview. I never know whether to completely trust the AI
let's
overview.
Run with it.
But it says the Monopoly franchise, including the popular mobile game Monopoly Go, has generated billions of dollars in revenue. Specifically, Monopoly Go has reached $5 billion in revenue within 2 years of its launch. The traditional board game has sold over 275 million copies worldwide. That's just the mobile game has made $5 billion.
It's well, I guess Cove does have a way to go to get to be an empire. God, is Monopoly, do you think I would think Monopoly would be the board game that has generated more income for Parker's Brothers or any board company in the entire world. I mean, Yahtzee's pretty fun, too. Do you ever play Yahtzee? I like Yahtzee. There's really no skill to it. It's just a matter of shake the dice.
Yeah.
5 come out, and you decide, do I go for 3 of a kind on...
Yeah, they are Parker Brothers.
Yeah.
Which eventually absorbed into Hasbro in 1991.
Wow. I told you that. I've recanted this tale before. You think Michel's game is a great invention? The kids in our neighborhood back in 1965, I'll save this outside the break. We created in our neighborhood what has to this day is the largest selling toy in the history of toys, and we created the first one in our neighborhood down on 86th Avenue Northeast in Coon Rapids. That and other tall tales to tell on the other side of the break. The Common Man program here on the Fan.
Celebrate the return of football with the Minnesota Vikings at training camp. The fun kicks off on Saturday, July 26th for Back Together Saturday. Score tickets today at Vikings.com/camp.
I forgot what I teased. It was just a quick little kicker. We were talking games, money, the universal language, and then I just kind of lost track of what I was going to talk about, but it's neither here nor there. What is this is a story. You sent me a couple of tweets or X's, whatever we call them, earlier in the day. Now the story is starting to get legs, and it's being reported all over the country. Dateline Atlanta. This is Phil Miller, Fish Wrap Factory, West Side. More than 9 months have passed since the Pohlad family announced its intention to explore a sale of the Twins, but the delay in finding a buyer, Major League Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred said yesterday, does not mean there are no bidders willing to meet the Pohlads' price. In fact, the commissioner said, quote, I can tell you with a lot of confidence that there will be a transaction there, and it will be consistent with the kind of pricing that has taken place in other franchise sales. Story goes on to say, given that Tampa Bay Rays owner Stuart Sternberg agreed just this month to accept $1.7 billion for his franchise, one plagued by stadium issues, that means the Twins figure to fetch at least that much in any sale. Manfred, who conducted a morning Q&A with members of the Baseball Writers Association of America, said, I know some things you don't know about progress towards a twin sale. He's in the know. He's an insider. I know stuff that you don't know.
Above average at that.
There will be transactions there. Manfred declined to offer a timeline for the buyer to be revealed, saying, we just need to be patient while they work. I never doubted that if they really did intend to sell the team, that they would find a buyer. It doesn't matter what the price is. It was either Dudley Riggs or Ringley P.T. Barnum who said, or Corey Cove, there's a sucker born every minute, right? And somebody will pay no matter what the price is. There could even be a bidding war for it. You and I discussed this, and not just recently because of the Twins sale or proposed sale and the Timberwolves sale that was finally closed not long ago. But the wealthiest of the wealthy, the ones that like to invest in things and like having hobbies, expensive hobbies, money's no object. Buy a sports team. Now, they're going to want to pay fair market value, but they're certainly not afraid to go above. Like, let's say there's 3 or 4 people that would love to own the Minnesota Twins. God, nothing I'd rather do than own a baseball team. Well, then there might be a bit of a bidding war. You know, they call the poll and say, we're interested. We already have an offer for 1.7. What do you give us? I'll give you 1.9. Okay. We'll get back to you in a couple of days. Then all of a sudden, you didn't get back to me because we got 2.1 offered now. So, you know, but there will be somebody that will buy for some price. Now, the asking price is 1.7, I believe. If they don't get the 1.7, they could pull it off the market for a period of time and say, you know what, we'll keep it for another year. Or until somebody gets serious about offering us what we think the team is worth. And as mentioned in this piece by Phil Miller, if Tampa Bay is getting $1.7 billion, I got to think with stadium issue.
Yeah.
Well, we have a really nice stadium.
Our stadium's nicer, yeah.
It's considered, I think it's a top 10 baseball stadium in all the country, maybe even higher than that. They put those lists out. We love list radio here, by the way. But so I don't know where it ranks, but it's considered. It's new compared to your Fenways and your Wrigleys and your Curleys. So there's a lot of money to be developed there because again, you can host other events other than just Twins games. You can have concerts. Nelly, right?
I just saw he was announced today for the State Fair.
Nelly
grandstand. Him and I saw Ja Rule.
I love Ja Rule.
And Maya. I think it's the Yin Yang twins.
How about Lil Kraz as a dresser? Is he going to be there?
Well, they should be. Little Long Johns.
Little Long Johns. They will be sold. There's no question. It's just a matter of when. And then, Rosen has talked about this, and, he's an insider extraordinary. He's the legendary one. He seems to think there are some local, either individuals or group of individuals that would be very interested in the team. And, I always wonder, do people, not that we have any say in it. It's not like we can, block the sale of the club, but do we like the idea of local guys more than outsiders, or does it depend who that local person is or who that outsider is? Laurie and Rodriguez are outsiders. Everybody knew. I don't think I'd never heard of Mark Laurie until he became Rodriguez's partner. Everybody knows who Rodriguez is, follows sports, but, when Marv and Harv bought the Wolves, when the team first started, when they were awarded the expansion franchise. People in the Twin Cities business world knew who they were, but the average person had no idea who those people are, right? Glenn Taylor, same thing. Most people probably did not know who Glenn Taylor was until they said billionaire businessman who's made his fortune in envelopes. Okay, all right, now we know who he is, and so I don't know who that would be. There are plenty of wealthy people in this. The world, contrary to popular belief, Tennessee is not running out of rich people. They are out there, and there are people that love having that as a hobby, man. There's no better hobby for some people than having a professional sports team and trying to win a world championship. They like parades. You like parades. So I do think it will be.
Now, I know you say the word hobby, and I get it because it is a hobby, but it's also like up until this point, investing in a sports team has been one of the best business investments you can make. So it's.
Oh, yeah. No, well, that goes without saying. Right.
Yeah,
I know that. But for me, it's still a hobby because they could take that money and invest in something else if they wanted to. They could invest in a widget factory. Might not be quite as exciting, but they can, and they do. So many of these people have their fingers in so many different things. Like the Polads, for instance, I think they finally sold their automotive group, but they were in the automotive group. They were in banking. I think they owed, was it Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola? One of the two. They had their fingers in all sorts of things and probably still do. And so, but I think when you get to the point where you've got the money where you can afford a baseball team or football or basketball, hockey, to me, it's still, it reeks of hobby. But no, they don't buy it just for the hobby. But that's the beauty of it, is that if you play fantasy football with your buddies and you have to pay a $10 entry fee to league or $100, whatever it is, right? This is a little bit more. Their fantasy football is a little pricier.
A little different level.
Yeah, and it's cooler because you win a World Cup. Think if you win a Lombardo. Though you really don't win it. Especially in a non-salary cap league. Let's say you're to win the big game. Well, you didn't win it. You just owned the team that won it. So you won it technically. I get that. But it's not like the guy that's out on the field, the coaching staff and all that. Those are the guys that, to me, that's the guys that really... ownership is...
I always do think it's a little uncomfortable when a team wins, let's say, national football, right? They win the big game. the first person they have the trophy to is the owner sitting up there, right? The person we haven't seen all season long, we've barely seen them, don't even know really what impact they've had.
Right.
And instead of the coach and star player and having the team celebrated, it just feels weird.
Yeah, they hand it over to, So do you, to me, I think it really, I know people don't like the idea of an outsider because the paranoia, if they're going to move the team. That's all they want to do. They just want to get it. They're going to hold us hostage. They're going to say, we don't build them a new stadium. We're going to take the team and go somewhere else. And that's always possible. That's possible with local people, too. Now, I know people, and there might be something to this, that somebody that they have the roots here, like the Polads do. You know, like the Polads they were ready to sell, which claims they were. Now, that which I think would have been a bad PR hit for their family name. Same with the contraction, but they were willing to do it or claim they were willing to do it, and they are now. But I think if you sell to a local, it's not as bad for you.
Well,
if you sell local.
Vikings ownership is not local.
No, it's not.
Wild's ownership is not local.
No.
Timberwolves no longer local.
No.
And I really don't have like the scare of the team leaving anymore.
Right.
Because I think the dynamics of sports and how much money's involved has changed so much. And while we're not a big market, we're not a tiny market. And so if you are eyeing, I think we can move this team from Minnesota and go elsewhere to a bigger market, those really just don't exist. Right? Like we're like 16th. Those top 15 markets in basically every sport, they already have teams there. Yeah. So you're really not going to upgrade to a bigger market. I guess, maybe a hockey team could move to Houston. But other than that, and that ain't going to happen because you need hockey in Minnesota.
Well, we're the state of hockey.
So I'm not worried about teams leaving anymore. Because what situation are you going to leave to that's so much better than what you got here?
No, the only way a team would leave, and we've talked about this, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, but if they demand new stadium and they want financial help, and the legislator says no thanks, that's when they will. That's when the other owners in the league, that's sort of like that line in the sand where we have to show these cities, we have to prove a point here. We got to tell them, when we ask you to help us, you better say with how much, because if you don't, we can take our little, because they'd rather have the expansion teams. I get that, but again, they're all billionaires, so at the end of the day, they can pass on one expansion franchise to prove a point. So, but you're right for the most part. They'd rather expand. They don't want teams to leave markets, but it has happened. Our Twins were not originally the Twins; they were the Washington Senators, and they moved. We used to have a team called the Minneapolis Lakers. They are no longer they're the Lakers, but they're in Los Angeles. The Minnesota Wild are really like an offshoot of the Minnesota Timberwolves or Minnesota North Stars. So we did have 3 teams leave. And there might have been others as well. I don't know. But those 3 teams did leave. So it can happen. Someone sent me a text to remind me what I teased. And they said, you teased the game you invented as a kid. And that's exactly what it wasn't a game. It was my older brother, Buddy Jacobson, Robbie Hodge, George Bukasayam, Mike Block, Randy Schillinger. These are all the guys that were of about the same age, and they all had younger brothers like me and Gary Jacobson and Howie Hodge, Pat Block. All had younger brothers, right? Bored, look, back when I was growing up in the 60s, we didn't have Grand Theft Auto 13, 14. We had no video game, and you invented your own game. We didn't have, think of how much better I would have turned out had I had an Initials game when I was a kid. But it was just invented over the last, 10 years or whatever it was, 5 years? But imagine if we would have had Initials games as a kid, 10 to be, how much better we would be. We would know more people's initials. We'd know the initials more. I played once on the Initials game. The only one I came close to getting was, I said artificial turf, and it was AstroTurf. Or it was one or the other. I said the one.
Yeah.
When I didn't get it, I thought, well, they're gaming me. They're cheating. But then, oh yeah, of course.
That game's rigged.
This game's rigged. But anyway, so out of boredom, we all got to the point where we did not ride tricycles anymore, right? We did not ride tricycles. We had bikes. And so the tricycles just sat around, and boy, we looked at them and said, why don't we goof around with those things? So we tore them, but I didn't. I watched. My buddy and his brothers tore them apart and made the original big wheel, where they had, wheel, big ones on the back. You flip the frame of basically we're just flipping the frame of the trike upside down. And I don't know why our dads didn't look at that, but they're too busy working, right? Trying to make a living, trying to make ends meet, right? They were trying to make a living and doing the best that they can. And but why didn't they see that and go, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen? Because Mattel, I think it was Mattel, ended up marketing a year or two later the big wheel. And I think we Googled this. I've recanted this tale before. Big wheel, I think, is the largest selling toy of all time. Can you Google that? I think big wheel is the largest. And we invented it in our backyard, but we didn't know what to do with. We didn't know. We weren't thinking about.
There's no way it was the largest selling toy of all time.
Google it. Largest selling toy of all time. I know it is. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I lie for a living, but I'm honest about it. I tell you, I don't do it often enough. I probably should have the disclaimer at the beginning of the show. Much of what the common man says today is a lie, but at least we're letting you know up front. God, it was so cool.
I'm seeing lists, but I'm not seeing an actual number one. But
is it on the list anyway?
The AI overview says Rubik's Cube.
Well,
has sold an estimated 450 million units. And the kids are still obsessed with Rubik's Cubes, by the way. They have different versions of them now.
Can you do one? I can't.
No.
Chance.
Leo can. Hot Wheels, Rubik's Cube, Cabbage Patch Dolls, Barbie, Lego. I mean, Lego's got to be huge.
Huge.
Beanie Baby.
Big Wheel's not on there?
Yo-Yo. I mean, even to this day, you don't see kids riding big wheels around.
Well, not anymore, but they did. You can buy them for $119.95 on Amazon. You got a deluxe model. This one must have air conditioning. $149.99. That probably comes with air conditioning, rack and pinion steering, ABS brakes. It's just gorgeous. Then they got the one that's basically keys and a heater. It's a $68.50.
Did they put the video camera mirror on those now when you start to go in reverse?
Well, that's a good question. Well, why did I?
Maybe for the year it came out or something.
Big Wheel's a brand of low-riding tricycle made mostly of plastic with a large front wheel and shallow seat, introduced by Louis Marx. Do we know that it's Louis Marx who is Louis Marx and Company? In 1969, manufactured in Girard, Pennsylvania, the Big Wheel is a popular toy in the 1970s. Partly because of its low cost and partly because consumers said it was a safer alternative to the traditional tricycle or bicycle. You can't even dump over on the side on a big wheel. If you do, you did something really wrong. Its low center of gravity made it a stable tricycle for kids to ride, minimizing both tip overs and severity of related falls. Well, then, I guess I'm wrong. It's been inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame, though. And did you know that Greg Swedberg is going into the country music or country radio Hall of Fame? Annual races are held for big wheel style tricycles in some locations. One, Bring Your Own Big Wheel race takes place on Easter Sunday in San Francisco. Man, that's got to be a dangerous one on those hills on Lombard Street. Can you imagine that? That's where they should. I wonder if they hold it on Lombard Street. Because that street just goes straight up and down. How do you park there? What if you're going up that hill? You ever ride? Have you ever driven a clutch?
Yes.
The worst is when you are on an uphill. Because you got to ride. I can burn a clutch right out. You can smell my car coming from miles away. Must be common. The clutch is burned up. And you have to sit that, and you got to hold that gas in that clutch, and you got to, because if you just, especially if you pop it and it stalls, you're done. You're going to slam into the car behind you. You're going to cause a chain reaction accident, and it's going to be amazing because it's not, usually a chain reaction is when somebody from behind hits the other car in the rear, and then they just start, falling like dominoes. This is where you go backwards. Oh, it's the worst thing about driving a clutch because it can be deadly. But they have no clutch with big wheels. Why did I think it was the largest selling toy of all time? Well, because I wanted it to be. But it's not.
You know what they do need to make?
What's that?
An adult version of the big wheel. I'd love to do a big wheel race. It's a little big for those ones.
That's a good idea.
Adult-sized big wheels, yeah.
That's a good idea. And you could have Tour de France for for adult-sized big wheels.
Give me a couple of years and I'd be able to be, I'd be champion of the world.
Well, except the adult-sized big wheel would do all the work, right? I mean, there you go. Let's break and come back. I'm so excited.
Plus, at this point, all the adults would get nostalgic, right? It's like it's the retro thing.
It is the retro.
Yeah, like everyone would get nostalgic about riding it when they were kids, so it'd be the perfect age group.
I like the way you think. Let's pause, come back when we do the legendary one. I hope he's feeling better. He will join us next here in Studio A on the Common Man program on The Fan.